Once upon a time, in the loud, colorful, never-sleeping city of Lagos, there lived a young woman named Uchechi Francis Okafor. Uchechi's life was softer than freshly whipped butter left under the sun. She did not walk, she glided. She did not wait, she was served. She did not ask, she received. Lagos traffic, power failure, hunger, struggle, stress, these were words she only heard on social media, never in real life. Her father, Chief Francis Okafor, was one of the richest men in Nigeria. He owned oil companies, shipping lines, estates, banks, and even a private jet that Uchechi used like Uber. Her mother, Ebere Francis, was a former beauty queen who once represented Nigeria on an international stage. Tall, elegant, always smelling of expensive perfume, she was admired wherever she went. Uchechi was their only child, their golden girl, their precious miracle, their soft princess. She had never walked a day in her life, not once, not even by mistake. The hardest thing Uchechi had ever done was waking up in the morning. Even that was assisted. Every morning by 7 a.m. sharp, one maid opened her curtains, another brought warm water, another held her towel, another held her robe, another arranged her creams in the exact order she liked, another sprayed her perfume, another picked her clothes, another carried her phone, another carried her handbag, and another waited behind her in case she needed anything else. If Uchechi was too tired to lift a spoon, someone fed her. If she yawned too long, someone massaged her jaw. If she sighed, someone asked, "Madam, are you okay?" Uchechi did not know suffering. She did not know stress. She did not know patience. She was a certified Lagos Nepo baby, and she wore that title proudly. But behind the silk bed sheets, the luxury cars, the diamond jewelry, and the endless shopping trips, Uchechi was lonely, very lonely. Men feared her. Some were intimidated by her family name. Some were scared of her wealth. Others pretended to love her, but were only interested in her father's money. She had dated rich men, politicians' sons, oil tycoons' nephews, and even one prince from abroad, but none of them felt real. She watched her friends fall in love, get engaged, get married, and start families. She attended weddings almost every weekend. Ironically, she always caught the bouquet. People joked that she was a professional bouquet catcher. Yet she remained single. A rich single. A lonely single. She tried dating apps. She tried blind dates. She tried introductions from friends and family. Nothing worked. Until one day, boredom pushed her out of her comfort zone. Uchechi decided to go shopping alone. That alone was a big deal. She heard about a new luxury store that had just opened in a high-end mall in Lagos. The store sold her favorite designer brands, and she wanted to see it before everyone else did. She dressed up, told her driver to wait, and entered the mall like a queen inspecting her kingdom. Then fate decided to play its card. Uchechi stepped into the elevator. Just as the doors were closing, a man rushed in. The elevator doors shut, and suddenly, everything stopped. The lights flickered, the elevator jacked, then silence. Uchechi's heart jumped into her throat. The elevator was stuck. Her breathing became fast. Her hands started shaking. Her brain could not process what was happening. She had never been trapped anywhere in her life, not even in traffic. She screamed, "Jesus, somebody help me. I am too young to die. I cannot die inside an elevator." She started banging the buttons, crying, shaking, breathing like someone running from village people. Next to her stood the man who had rushed in earlier. He was calm, too calm. He looked at the control panel, then at her, then spoke gently. "Madam, please, relax. Help will come. These things happen." Relax? Did he just say relax? Uchechi turned sharply to face him, eyes blazing. Relax? Do you know who I am? Do you know what my life is worth? If my father hears about this, this entire mall will close down. The man sighed. Your father may be rich, but the elevator doesn't know him. Calm down. That sentence landed like slap. Uchechi's mouth opened. Nobody had ever spoken to her like that. ever. She looked at him from head to toe, anger boiling inside her. How dare you speak to me like that? She shouted. Do you know who you're talking to? The man raised his hand slightly. You are acting like a spoilt brat. Silence. The word hung in the air. Spoilt brat? Uchechi nearly lost her mind. What did you just call me? She screamed. A spoilt brat, he repeated calmly. Her body shook with rage. I am Uchechi Francis Okafor, daughter of Chief Francis Okafor. This mall is nothing compared to my father's guest house. The man chuckled. Then why didn't your father build you a private mall? That one hit deeper. Uchechi froze. He continued, still calm. That way, you won't have to mix with poor people like us. Her anger turned to shock. You are mad, she yelled. You useless mall worker. He finally turned to look at her fully. I don't work here. Liar. Even if I did, it is still a job. Something you have never done. That sentence cut her pride into pieces. You are rude, she fired back. No, he said softly. I am just honest. Before she could respond, the elevator doors opened. Uchechi stormed out like a wounded lion. Her mission was clear. He must pay. She marched to the management office and demanded the manager. Within minutes, the manager appeared, already sweating. She shoved her phone in his face. Fire this man. He insulted me. The manager stared at the picture. His face changed. He blinked, then swallowed. Madam, this man is not our staff. Then fire him anyway. The manager's voice trembled. Madam, this is Abuchidike. Uchechi frowned. So? He is the owner of this mall. The world stopped. The air left her lungs. The floor shifted under her feet. The manager continued talking, but Uchechi barely heard him. Abuchidike, the private billionaire. The man every rich family whispered about. The man nobody had pictures of. The man many women prayed to marry. Uchechi staggered out of the office. For the first time in her life, she felt small, very small. That night, as Lagos lights shone outside her window, Uchechi lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Her phone buzzed beside her. She opened her gallery. There he was, the picture she took out of anger. Abuchi. Calm, confident, unbothered. She stared at it, then laughed. For the first time, she laughed at herself, and somewhere deep inside her chest, something shifted, something dangerous, something called interest, something called destiny. She did not know it yet, but the elevator that trapped her had opened a door she was not ready for, and the real journey had only just begun. The first thing Uchechi did the next morning was check her phone. Not her messages, not her social media, not even her bank alerts. She checked the picture. Abuchi Dike. She stared at his face like it might talk back to her. What is wrong with me? She whispered, pulling her duvet over her head. Since when did insult turn into attraction? She rolled on the bed, groaning, then suddenly sat up. No, this is nonsense, she said aloud. I'm just bored. But boredom did not explain why her heart beat faster every time she remembered his calm voice, or why his words replayed in her head like a song she could not stop. Spoilt brat, come down from your high horse. Honest, not rude. Uchechi hissed and stood up. She decided to distract herself. Shopping always helped. That same afternoon, she dressed up and went back to the mall. She told herself it was coincidence. She told herself she was not looking for anyone. Yet her eyes scanned every corner, every elevator, every hallway. Nothing. She went home disappointed and angry at herself. The next day, she returned again. Still nothing. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into a month. Uchechi found herself going to that mall almost every day, sometimes twice. She pretended to shop, but she barely bought anything. Her mind was always elsewhere. People noticed. Her maids noticed. Her driver noticed. Even her mother noticed. Uchechi,
Ebere said one afternoon as they sat in the living room. "Why are you always restless these days?" "I'm fine, Mommy," Uchechi replied quickly. Ebere studied her daughter's face. You're not fine. But don't worry, Lagos will always reveal secrets." Uchechi forced a smile, but her heart raced. 2 months passed, no Abuchi. She started losing hope. Then fate struck again, this time in the sky. Uchechi was traveling to Abuja for a women's leadership conference her mother insisted she attend. She boarded the plane, adjusted her wig, and settled into her seat. As she reached into her handbag for her lip gloss, a shadow passed. She looked up. Her breath caught. Abuchi Dike. Her heart skipped, then jumped, then nearly exploded. He was walking down the aisle, calm, confident, fine. Her wig shifted slightly as she gasped. As if destiny was laughing, he stopped and sat down right beside her. Uchechi froze. Her mouth went dry. Her palms sweated. Her brain shut down. He turned. Their eyes met. Recognition flashed. A slow smile spread across his face. "Well," he said, "if it is not the elevator princess." Uchechi covered her face. "Oh God," she groaned, "please let the plane take off without me." He laughed. She peeked through her fingers. "I am so sorry about that day," she said quickly. "I was terrible. I was rude. I was very stupid." Abuchi raised his hands. "It is fine. At least you didn't bite me." They both laughed, and just like that, the tension melted. During the flight, they talked, they joked, they teased each other. Uchechi was shocked at herself. She laughed freely, she listened, she spoke without trying to impress. She felt normal. Abuchi talked about his travels, his work, his love for quiet spaces. Uchechi talked about her upbringing, her loneliness, her fear of fake love. For the first time, she told someone the truth. By the time the plane landed, neither of them wanted the conversation to end. They walked out together. Same car park, same hotel, same floor. Uchechi felt like the universe was arranging things. That night, they had dinner together, then breakfast the next morning, then lunch, then dinner again. They talked until their throats hurt from laughing. By the end of the trip, something had changed, something real, something deep. Back in Lagos, they kept seeing each other. Quiet dinners, long drives, late-night talks. Uchechi was falling hard. One evening, as they sat on his balcony watching the city lights, Abuchi held her hand. "My mother wants to meet you," he said. Uchechi's heart jumped. "Meet more?" she asked. "Yes, she asked that you spend a few days with us." Her eyes widened. Mrs. Ngozi Dike, the matriarch, the woman richer than most governments. Meeting her was an honor people begged for in silence. Uchechi nodded quickly. "I would love to." The moment she got home, chaos broke out. "Pack everything," she shouted. "All my clothes, all my shoes, all my bags." 10 maids moved like soldiers. Boxes filled the house. Suitcases piled up. It looked like relocation. The next morning, a convoy moved toward the Dike mansion.
When they arrived, Uchechi froze. The place was massive, but quiet. No noise, no crowd, no drama. Inside, everything was simple and elegant. 4 maids, only 4. Uchechi was confused. Then Mrs. Ngozi Dike walked in. Tall, graceful, warm. She hugged Uchechi. "Welcome, my dear." Uchechi almost cried. Then came the shock. "No maids inside," Mrs. Ngozi said gently. "You will live as we live." Uchechi's heart dropped. Then she saw Abuchi in the kitchen, cooking. Her soul left her body and returned. "You cook?" she asked. "Of course," he smiled. "You'll join me later." Join him? In the kitchen? Uchechi smiled weakly. Inside, panic screamed. That night, dinner was simple. Everyone served themselves. Abuchi handed her a spoon. "Help yourself." Her hand shook. She picked the spoon like it was dangerous. The next morning was worse. Mrs. Ngozi knocked on her door. "Come and help me cook." Uchechi nearly fainted. "Kitchen? Actual kitchen? Knives, fire, oil."
Her hand trembled. She cut tomatoes like rubber. Everyone watched. She felt embarrassed, ashamed, small. But Mrs. Ngozi only smiled. "You will learn," she said. Okechi did not know it yet, but that kitchen was about to change her life. And not everyone was happy about that, because somewhere in Lagos, eyes were watching, and not all intentions were pure. The real test was just beginning.
That night, Uchechi cried in the Daiki house. She cried silently. She sat on the edge of the bed, holding her knees, staring at her soft palms. Her hands hurt. Her back ached. Her pride felt bruised. She had swept. She had washed plates. She had chopped onions until her eyes burned. And for the first time in her life, nobody clapped for her. Nobody rushed to help. Nobody said, "Madam, rest." She whispered to herself, "What kind of love is this?" But even as the question left her mouth, she knew the answer was not simple. The next morning came early. Mrs. Ngozi was already awake, dressed simply, tying her wrapper neatly. "Good morning, my dear," she said gently. Uchechi forced a smile. "Good morning, ma. Come, let's prepare breakfast together." Uchechi wanted to say she was tired. She wanted to say she was not used to this life. She wanted to say she was a billionaire's daughter. But instead, she followed. They walked quietly. Abuchi joined them, humming softly as he flipped pancakes. Uchechi watched him. This man who owned more money than her entire generation, yet stood comfortably in the kitchen. Something inside her shifted again. Later that day, something unexpected happened. While making tea, hot water spilled on Uchechi's hand. She screamed and jumped back. For a split second, her old instinct kicked in. "Maid, maid," almost escaped her mouth, but nobody came. She ran cold water over her hand by herself. Her eyes watered, but she didn't cry. Mrs. Ngozi watched quietly. "You handled that well," she said. Uchechi laughed weakly. "I surprised myself." Mrs. Ngozi smiled. "Growth often looks like discomfort." That evening, trouble arrived. A black SUV pulled into the compound. Out stepped a woman, dressed in expensive lace, her face tight with controlled anger. Ngozi recognized her immediately. It was Ebere Francis Okafor, Uchechi's mother. Uchechi froze when she saw her. "Mommy?" Ebere walked in, eyes scanning the house. "Is this where you have been suffering?" she asked sharply. "Suffering?" Uchechi repeated softly. Ebere turned to Mrs. Ngozi. "With all due respect, madam, my daughter is not used to this kind of life." Mrs. Ngozi remained calm. "She is not suffering," she replied gently. "She is learning." Ebere scoffed. "My daughter does not need to learn how to suffer to prove love." Abuchi stepped forward. "With respect, ma, this is not suffering, this is living." Ebere turned to her daughter. "Uchechi, pack your things, let's go home." The air went heavy. Everyone waited. Uchechi felt all eyes on her. This was the moment, the easy choice, the soft life. She looked at her mother, then at Mrs. Ngozi, then at Abuchi. Her heart pounded. Slowly, she shook her head. "No, mommy." Ebere blinked. "What did you say?"
"I said no," Uchechi repeated, voice shaking but firm. "I'm staying." Silence. "For the first time," Uchechi continued, "I feel like a human being, not a decoration, not a name, just me." Tears filled Ebere's eyes. She had never heard her daughter speak like that. Mrs. Ngozi stepped closer. "You raised a strong woman," she said kindly. Ebere looked at her daughter one last time. Then she nodded. Then learn well, she said softly and left. That night, Abuchi held Uchechi's hand tightly. I am proud of you, he whispered. Days turned into weeks. Uchechi changed. She woke up early without complaints. She cooked simple meals. She laughed easily. She carried her own bag. She even reduced her entourage when she went out. One afternoon, Abuchi took her for a drive. He stopped at a quiet beach. Why did you really choose to stay? He asked. Uchechi smiled. Because love should make you better, not smaller. He kissed her forehead. Months later, Abuchi proposed. No crowd, no noise, just love. She said yes. Their wedding was simple but beautiful. No competition, no pride, just peace. Uchechi no longer lived for soft life alone. She lived for meaning. And in that quiet change, she found true happiness. Because sometimes, the elevator that traps you is the one that lifts you into your destiny.